Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome yet again to another episode of Lunch Guide. My name is Chef Andy and today I'm going to be bringing in a bit of one of my best loved sandwiches. This is something I would normally prepare and take with me on the road, especially on days that I'm feeling really lazy and I'm not really keen on eating along the way, or maybe I just don't trust whatever I'm going to find. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that very simply with these ingredients, which I'm going to introduce now. So from the end there, I've got some beautiful Worcestershire sauce. I've got some cayenne pepper, I've got some oregano, I've got some beautiful cumin powder there, a bit of salt, a bit of white onion. I've got some beautiful pistolets there, pistolette bread as well. I've got some mushrooms, I've got some nice beautiful ham, I've got some eggs, a bit of lemon there, a bit of unsalted butter, and a bit of mozzarella cheese. I will also be incorporating this, but you can actually be able to work without. This can easily be substituted with some foil paper or just any grease-proof paper for that matter. So without further ado, I'm going to give you this chance now to quickly take a break and grab your pens and papers if you're going to be taking notes. And when we do come back, I'm going to show you how to assemble this beautiful homemade sandwich. Don't touch the dial. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have just finished introducing the ingredients and I'm just about now to show you how to go about assembling your toasted sandwich. Right, very simple technique. First of all, I'm going to start by sauteing my filling, which is composed of basically some white onion and some white button mushrooms. So we're just going to start off by finely chopping up our onions, then right through the middle, and then just go right through to the end. And just another half. Right, so that's done. Discard the rest. And into a hot pan, we're going to be adding a bit of some unsalted butter. So I'm gonna go in with about 1 heaped teaspoon. Right, always swirl your pan around just to get the butter to really coat each and every bit of your pan. And straight from there, in with your onions. Just right there. We're just going to saute them and sweat them a little bit. We're just not really getting color, but getting some flavor. So I'm frying this at medium to low heat. I'm just gonna give that a quick toss. Right, while that continues to cook down, I'm also going to grab some mushrooms. And with these, I'm just going to slice them really thin. So I'm using white button mushrooms particularly because they've got a nice velvety finish to the sandwich, but you can actually avoid the mushroom and you can probably go in with any of the other ingredients. But I personally like mushrooms because, for one, they're very nutritious. They're very filling. They bring a nice, beautiful nuttiness to a sandwich. And of course, it just literally just binds really well with a bit of mushroom, just the way you'd expect it on the pizzas that are out there or the pastas that actually incorporate the two ingredients in one dish. All right, so about 2 more pieces. And last but not least, one more last piece. Right, and this simply just goes into the pan. Right, so up the heat a little bit, give it a toss, just make sure to get all those ingredients nicely coated. I am going to add a bit of butter. The mixture is a little dry, so I'm just going to add just a small teaspoon in there. And I'm also going to be using a bit of juice from the lemon, so I'm just going to grab my strainer and I'm just going to squeeze that over the mixture. So I'm using the strainer. This actually just helps you to be able to squeeze your lemon really quickly and be able to discard your seeds even faster. So we're just going to give that another toss. Always just wiggle your pan around. Always make sure to get as much surface area spread out, especially when frying any of your ingredients. It just also evens out the color as well. So we're just going to color those a little longer, and I'm gonna drop the heat a little bit. And to that, I'm going to be adding some dried oregano, just a pinch of paprika powder, and a bit of that cumin powder, about 1 teaspoon. Last but not least, a bit of salt. Alright, so we're just going to give that a toss, give it a nice mixture. And now that is about ready to come out of the pan, so we're just going to set that aside on the plate here. So we're going to reserve this for later. Remember, we're going to be building the sandwich, so we are going to be assembling it once we have all our ingredients ready. Right, so that's done. Now to that, we will also be making a bit of scrambled egg, which I'm about to show you how to do. So just a simple heavy base pot. So I'm just going to grab something in the fridge here. We're also going to be incorporating a bit of milk to this dish. And I will very simply just show you really quickly how to make a very, very simple scrambled egg. So first of all, to the pan, a bit of butter, and also a bit of olive oil. So about half a teaspoon of olive oil and 1 teaspoon butter. And then just give that a bit of time to melt down. And in the meantime, we are going to just start off with our eggs. So I'm just going to grab a bowl here, and we're just going to whip that really quickly using a fork. So I'm just going to crack 2 eggs, just 2 regular medium-sized eggs. Just crack those like that. And then just a pinch of salt. Give that a nice whip. And to that, I'm also going to add just about a 1/4 cup of milk. Now our pan is nice and hot, our butter is melted. All I'm going to do now is, and remember this is going on very low heat, all I'm going to do is give it a nice whip. And last but not least, a bit of some fresh black peppercorns. And this is just going to go into the pan. And now all we are going to do at this stage is just give it a mix. So all I'm going to do is just mix this with a spoon, and I'm just going to work around the sides. So you definitely don't want to stop at this stage, because what happens is your egg will start cooking into an omelette. So very, very particular when you're making scrambled eggs to very much be next to your pot and don't leave it unattended. Right, so just a bit of milk, and just going to quickly break that down with a spoon. Alright, simple as that. And now we can turn off the heat, and that's now ready. We're just going to give that a few seconds to cool off. And in the meantime, I'm just going to grab our beautiful buns there. So I'm using pistolets. These are, actually I picked this up freshly today from a beautiful bakery just around the corner. But you can actually use any kind of bread you like. You can actually get a whole French baguette and stuff it, slice it. If there's a lot of people who are going to be enjoying the sandwich or having the sandwich with you, you can actually pull it or stretch it up a little further. So all I'm going to do is just grab my pistolet, and I'm just going to grab serrated knife for that. And all we are going to do is we're going to cut it right through the middle lengthways, and I'll show you for the reason why. So I'm just going to slice all three of them right through the middle like that. So very, very easily. Very, very important, always have your baking tray just about ready to go. Remember, this will be going into the oven, and all we're going to do is just melt the cheese a little bit, and then they should be ready to serve. So just before we start, I'm just going to turn up my oven to about 200 degrees just to preheat, and then we're going to drop the temperature just before we throw this in. So very, very simply, I'm just going to grab a spoon here. And what we are going to do is we're going to first of all get a few slices from our mozzarella. So I'm just going to make a few thin slices just like that. I'm just going to use a knife for that purpose. So we're going to go about 2 slices in each. So you should be able to pull that off with about 50 to 60 grams of cheese. You can also alternatively use something different from mozzarella. The reason why I'm using mozzarella for this particular dish is the reason that there's so much flavors in there, and what happens is the mozzarella just gives it a nice silky finish without overpowering the flavor of the sandwich in general. Right, so I've got some Worcestershire sauce, which I'm just going to now, just using a spoon, I'm just going to pour that in there. I'm just basically just allowing it to drench in the bread. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And I'm just going to repeat the process for all the other 2 pieces remaining. So just a nice drizzle right in there. This first of all keeps your sandwich nice and moist. It doesn't give it a bland taste. And actually it always really goes well with a bit of eggs and a bit of ham. You can actually also use HP sauce. You can actually use ketchup as well. Remember, this is just to give the bread and the meat a bit of a nice, beautiful finish for you to actually enjoy the sandwich as a complete dish. So last but not least, a bit of drizzle on the inside of that as well. Now I'm just going to quickly tell you the reason for slicing my bread lengthways. I've always found it that every time you actually grab a piece of bread and you slice it sideways like this, it really becomes a mission to try and always keep pressing it down, and it always becomes a mission to try and also get it to hold the shape. So when I have bread about that size, I actually just like to slice it right over the top, because when everything melts, it actually sits really, really well in between, and you don't really actually have a difficult time assembling it or actually packing it and having it ready to go. So this particularly works for me, and I'm just going to share the secret with you all. So into that, we're just going to slide in some slices of ham. So basically, this is just 1 complete slice of sandwich ham. All I did was just fold it halfway diagonally, and then just fold it in there. And then to that, I'm going to also add just 2 pieces of cheese to each of the sandwiches. And then we're also going to just go in with a bit of the mushroom, but before we do so, just also a very, very light drizzle in there just to give it a nice refreshing taste. And also just lemon also allows you to really get the flavors to lift. So just simple as that. Give it a nice quick mix like that. And all you're going to do now is stuff your sandwiches with the mushroom mixture. So remember, this actually is a very, very, very filling sandwich. You can actually be able to go quite a long way with a particular sandwich like this. Remember, it incorporates quite a few things. There's a bit of your starch in there, which is from the mushrooms. You do also have a bit of the egg that really is going to complement that really well. So I'm just going to finish stuffing this quickly. So we're just going to repeat the same process for the 3 pieces. And just be sure to not reserve any of that mushroom mixture. So basically 1 cup mushroom should be able to fill up a nice big baguette, or maybe 3 to 4 pistolets or burger bun sizes of bread. And that should just give you just about enough nutrient in there for one. This, of course, judging from the nutritionist side of view. So very simply just finish that off. So I'm just going to assemble them right in the center of the tray like that. We're just going to fold off this excess. And now all I'm going to do to finish that off is break up some of that egg. And all we are going to do is scoop that right on top of everything else. So I'm just going to press that right over the top. And I'm going to repeat the same for the rest. So just a nice generous serving on each. Simple as that. And now this is now ready to go into your oven. But last but not least, just a nice finish to it. A bit of black pepper on the top. And of course, tiny pinch of salt just for flavor. And this is now ready to go into the oven. So remember, we're just going to toast this for a little bit just to get the cheese to melt. So this shouldn't be sitting in your oven for more than 5 minutes. I always recommend, if you're going to be melting something as such, don't walk away from it, just stay around. If you have an oven that's got a nice glass display like mine, you can actually just sit around, grab a glass of juice, drink some water, or clean up your station and pay attention to it. It does actually brown really quickly, and the reason for that is, remember, the ingredients are already cooked. You're just giving it a nice finish and a bit of color. So these are just going to go in to a preheated oven. And so that's set for about 180 to between 160 to 180 degrees. And I'm just going to set that for about, say about 8 to 10 minutes. And while those toast, we're going to take a short commercial break. I'm also going to clean up the station. And when we come back, we're going to take them out. I'm going to show you what they look like and just give you a few pointers of something that can accompany them as a dish, as a meal. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were just finishing off our sandwiches in the oven, and now they're done. We're just about to take them out and see what they look like. So these have just basically been in there between 5 and 6 minutes, just long enough for the mozzarella cheese to melt. Now we're just going to take them out. Right, so mozzarella cheese melted. It's looking good, very, very composed sandwich. And as I said, just by looking at it, you can actually be able to see exactly what I was telling you earlier. Slicing the bread right over the top actually helps you to get a more composed sandwich than slicing it sideways and across. And this is particularly why I wanted to show you this with this particular bread. So we're now just going to transfer those to a plate. Right. simple as that. And that is just ready to serve. So this particular dish, you could actually be able to pack this really well in some aluminum foil, or you can wrap it in some wax paper and some parchment paper right around it, and it should actually be able to last you at least all through your trip, and it will actually just serve you right if you decide to have them along your trip. So from my end, it has been a pleasure showing you how to make this today, and I hope you've learned something today. Do leave your comments, inquiries, or any questions you have on our Facebook page, and I'll be happy to get back to you. But from the studios and myself, it has been a pleasure being with you today, and until the next episode, Merry Christmas to you all.